is Boxing Day in the year 2027, and we, with our Reading side, are currently sat 11th place in the Premier League. It looks a lot better than it actually is. When we win games, we win them 4-3, and that's not a joke. We've beaten Palace 4-3, we beat Brentford 4-3, we beat Wolves 4-3. 4-3 wins in a row, and if we don't score a goal, we are definitely not getting any points, which makes obvious sense. But a 0-0 draw against Palace, a 3-0 defeat against Arsenal, a 3-0 defeat against Wolves. Obviously, last episode was a 3-0 defeat against Liverpool. We lost against West Ham, and we've done all right. We haven't done great. We honestly have not done great. I was hoping to beat Palace. That would have been a nice 3 points to get there, but a draw, I guess we'll have to take. If you take a look at the league table, like I said, we are 11th place, 6 wins, and 3 of them have been 4-3s. One of them was a 4-1 as well. We don't win away from home at all. We've won 6 games, all of them are at home, which means in today's episode, we're kicking off away from home against Southampton in St Mary's. They're down in 17th place, so hopefully we should be good enough to pick up 3 points there. And if we don't, we are going to probably drop down the table, I think. The starting lineup then for the Southampton game will be Boyce Clark in goal, Norton, Cuffy, Mepham, Sardi and Guinness Walker in defence, with Kozlovs and Hamilton in midfield. Wilson and Edozie on the wings, Maleka and Delap up front. Edozie returning to his former team. We've got on the subs bench as well former Southampton player Juan Larios, who maybe we do that as well. Let's give Larios a start as well, why not? So in today's episode, not only are we going to be playing Southampton obviously on camera, we are going to have the January transfer window. There might be a match against Bournemouth as well in the middle of the January transfer window, and we'll probably play a game afterwards as well, which I initially had penciled in as West Ham, and now I've just seen their third. We might not be playing West Ham. Sirkin with a free kick for Southampton. Now this is going to get confusing to me because I often play as Southampton. It is Calvin Bassey on the left-hand side. Mepham steals the ball away all the way back to Boyce Clark in goal. On the right is Mepham once again. In the middle, we want to go forward to Kozlovs. We do find the Latvian and Englishman. Hamilton's first touch is pretty horrendous. And now Southampton can also pass straight to our Algerian centre-back. Edozie collects it. Cuts inside. Go for a ball across to the right-hand side. Invites Norton Cuffy forward and does manage to find him as well. Plenty of purple shirts in the box. Get the cross away. It's towards Liam Delap. And Liam Delap heads in against his dad's former team. It's a very loose collection, but I'm pretty sure Delap was born in Winchester. So when Rory, his dad, was playing for Southampton, that's when he would have been born. So this might feel like a kind of a good goal for him because it's against a team that his dad played for when he was born. He might not care less at all, to be honest. We are 17 minutes in. Bassey with the ball, Sirkin now for Southampton. If we can win away from home to kick off this episode, this is going to be magical. We can also just balls it up completely. Edozie gets the ball back from Delap, and Edozie doubles our lead against the former team of his. 2-0, 18 minutes on the clock. What is happening? Now, I was expecting to start this episode with a draw. That was kind of my thoughts. I think maybe we might get a draw out of this. Right now, we are looking absolutely dominant against Southampton. Delap plays it back to Mepham. Right-hand side is Norton Cuffy if he wants to go to, and does so. Backwards to Kozlovs. On the line is Maleka. In the middle towards Wilson. Finds Hamilton instead. And Delap is in on goal. And Delap makes it 3. This is bringing back horrible memories as a Southampton fan. But, you know, you can't always lose 9-0. Gavin Bazunu's on a 6.1. He has taken the brunt of the ratings hit for that. Oscar Gill as well dropped down to a 6.4 for a moment, but he's back up to a 6.5. We are absolutely dominant at the moment. Unfortunately, it's going to mean absolutely nothing for the league table because everyone else around us also seems to be winning, or everyone above us at the very least. Norton Cuffy with a throw. Can we make it 4 before half-time? Kozlovs to Hamilton, back to Wilson. He's in towards Maleka, and Maleka makes it 4-0 to Reading away from home. Now, the worrying thing is, we have just won our last 3 matches 4-3. Let's not concede 3 goals. Right, half-time that has hit, and Southampton have been absolutely garbage, which I am quite happy to see in this instance. In real life, not so much. We're just going to go straight into the second half. I feel like, with all those greens, there's no point in changing anything at all. 10 minutes into the second half, it looks like Southampton are trying to do some changes, but it's mainly defensive, so they're not really going for anything. Larios with a decent free kick. Bazunu, I think, gets a hand to it. He does. It's going to be a corner. First real chance of the second half then from that free kick. Second one, hopefully, from the corner. Wilson takes it. Sardi is there at the front post. Mepham's there at the back. Bazunu's there in the middle. We're going to have to think about fitness now, right? Because obviously it is Christmas. It is Boxing Day in game, so there's been a lot of matches. Players are tired. Wilson should have made it 5. Just seen Southampton have just brought on Lianco. He's still there. How is he still there? Right, Wilson is going to come off. Scotty Banks is going to come on that right-hand side. We're going to keep Delap on and hope he can get himself a hat-trick. Instead, we're going to do Maleka off for Joel Perreault. Do we want to do anything else? Maybe Mika Hamilton for Josh Laurent. Why not? Southampton have offered literally nothing so far in the second half. Perreault's pass is awful, but highlights carrying on. What was that, Joel? I mean, I know we're 4-0 up and all, but sometimes these little things really annoy me in Football Manager. Illich plays it on the ground to Bednarek. Now Rodriguez on the right. Easily intercepted by Juan Larios. Plays it back to Sadi. Big kick upfield. Not a big one, but finds one of our players nonetheless. Edozi's going to keep that in play. Lumps it forward. Finds Delap. Cross comes in. Joel Perreault's there. Doesn't get on the end of it. And he doesn't matter because we've scored anyway. It's going to go down as a Jan Bednarek own goal, something that he was quite common for doing it for Southampton. It is 5-0. What's happened? This is a Premier League Southampton team. We are barely a championship quality Reading side, and we are 5-0 up. I do want to be getting that Liam Delap hat-trick, but I feel like it is not likely to come. We're going to do our final 2 changes. Kiddo Taylor-Hart is going to come on for Edozie, and I guess it's Kozlov's coming off for Offerborough. I'm basically just going on fitness, which means Delap is going to play 90, which might not be a good idea, but he can hopefully get that hat-trick. 5 minutes of injury time to play. Southampton players' stats are just declining constantly all over the place. The full-time whistle goes. A 5-0 win against a team realistically we are battling in a relegation scrap with, away from home. That is our first win away from home, and it was 5-0. And we are almost at the halfway point of the season. And if we double our points, so if we do exactly the same thing that we did in the first half that we do in the second, we will finish on 50 points. Potentially a maximum of 56 points if we win our 19th game of the season, which is very good. That is actually very, very good. Now, I don't know whether this is because, obviously, recently promoted sides always seem to do well in their first season, then the second season they kind of balls it up. Maybe that's what's going to happen, but if I'm perfectly honest, this is season 5 out of 5. I don't care if we balls it up in the next season, because we're not going to be here. We're now midway through January and ready to play Bournemouth. Obviously, the transfer window is open, but we have done literally no business. We've loaned out 2 players who you basically aren't ever going to have heard of anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Since we last played and destroyed Southampton 5-0, we've actually won another game against 19th place West Brom. A 3-1 win here with a Maleka hat-trick. We beat Hull in the FA Cup third round as well, setting up a match that we're definitely going to lose against Arsenal. A 0-0 draw against Villa, actually not terrible. Then 2 defeats against Spurs and Man United mean we're still 11th. We are 11th place in the table. We're only 8 points off the relegation zone. It's not close, is it? It's certainly not close, but I'd like it to be a bit further away. The starting lineup for the Bournemouth game then will be Boyce Clark in goal, Norton Cuffy, Sadi, House and Larios in defence. Courtney House comes in because we've kind of got some fitness issues. Mepham not quite there, but he can play. He's still on the bench. It's going to be Offerborough and Hamilton in midfield. Similar situation with Offerborough coming in the middle. With Banks, Edozie, Maleka and Liam Delap once again. Wilson this time drops to the bench. On comes Scotty Banks. So I've been thinking with this transfer window, I don't think we need to do anything. I genuinely don't think we need to do any business. It doesn't mean we're not going to, but it means that I'm not actively seeking somebody out. I'm not thinking we need to buy ourselves a new left back. I'm there thinking, if a scout turns up and says, hey, this guy's available, maybe you might want to try him out, I might go for that. We've got £20 million to spend, so it's not like we haven't got the money to do it. I just don't really know what we can do or where we can strengthen. It is Carles Perez, plays it back to Aarons for Bournemouth, goes for goal, hits the post. David Brooks is going to keep this one alive. It is cleared by Sadi. That is good. I mean, it was a bit worrying, wasn't it? Bit worrying, first of all, we get the ball clear. I think realistically, I'm looking for that magic 40 points. That's kind of my target. I know it's not the most exciting thing. People want to be winning the league, qualifying for Europe, winning cups and stuff like that. But my objective for Season 5 with this Reading team is just not get relegated. And so far, we're on track. I say that as David Brooks puts Bournemouth 1-0 up. And as opposed to the Southampton game, we have done literally nothing so far. No shots after 23 minutes. We've had a fair amount of possession. I think it was like nearly 60% possession, but we're just doing nothing with it at all. Senesi with the ball forward to the goal scorer. Left-hand side is Malacia. Goes for a little run in towards the penalty area. Norton Cuffy doesn't manage to get there. It's blocked off Sadi and goes away for a corner. It's not looking very good, is it, at the moment? After that Southampton game, I was kind of expecting this is going to be a 3-0 win as well, and we're going to just be flying up the table, and we're going to be pushing on for Europe. But yeah, right now, Bournemouth are just showing they are so much better than us at the moment. Brooks tries to cross it, can't manage to, and Norton Cuffy can steal the ball away. Bento with a goal kick. Does that mean we've had a shot? If they've got a goal kick, it might mean that actually we didn't have a shot. We just kicked the ball off. Norton Cuffy over the halfway line. Scott Banks on the right-hand side. We need Wilson back on, really, against his former team, and maybe Wilson can do something on the right-hand side. Norton Cuffy to Offenborough, also against his former team. Scotty Banks is there, and Scotty Banks, in off the post, makes it 1-1, his first ever Premier League goal, if I'm not mistaken. I did think to myself at the end of last season that Scott Banks might not be good enough for the Premier League, and I'm not saying that I'm wrong, but I'm saying that I think I was kind of on the money when we needed to strengthen those positions, but having Banks as an option to come off the sub bench is actually really helpful. Courtney House is injured, which means we've got Mepham coming off the sub bench now. The irony is, Courtney House came in because Mepham was tired, and I was worried that I might get him injured, and then Courtney House gets himself injured instead. It is Mepham, the former Bournemouth man. We've got, I think, 4 former Bournemouth players in our squad, because Danny Ings technically is a former Bournemouth player as well. Maybe even 5. I feel like there's a 5th one lurking about, but I'm not sure who it could possibly be. Zavani with the ball for Bournemouth. We've got 2 minutes or so of injury time to play in the first half. Scott Banks collects it on the right-hand side, playing well on a 7.2 rating. 4 in the box, plays it on the ground to Offenborough, and Nnamdi Offenborough gets his first goal of the season, his first Premier League goal as well, if I'm not mistaken, and it is against his former team. We most certainly have turned that around. We have certainly turned that around. 2-1 up at half-time. Bournemouth have been the much, much better team, but we've managed to get the 2 goals. I assume their goalkeeper is the one kind of taking the blame for it, and Max Aarons, and all the defence, actually. Their centre-backs are both on 6.3s. Their goalkeeper's on a 6.4, I think. Max Aarons was also on a 6.4. It is Senesi collecting it, so 2.5 minutes on the clock in the second half. David Brooks on the ground to Solanke, and Dominic Solanke makes it 2-1. It's going to get disallowed because of VAR. I mean, that's a hopeful it's going to get disallowed because of VAR. I think it's actually going to count. It's been disallowed. It is back to 2-1. We retain our lead for now. Norton Cuffy with the ball for us on the right-hand side. This highlight is started awfully far up the pitch, which does not fill me with too much confidence, although Banks is in on goal. Banks has hit the post again, and it trickles across the line and it's cleared upfield. Bournemouth can possibly counter-attack now. Larios with a great slide. That's not a foul. He got the ball. Right, I'm looking at fitness. I'm looking at the time as well. I'm thinking 60 minutes is obviously the usual time that you do your subs. So let's go and do a couple of changes. Delap is coming off for Perot. We're going to swap you 2 over. We're also going to do Wilson coming on the left-hand side. And we're going to do Victor Cruz. It's a risk. It's definitely a risk coming on as that. Is he a ball winner? He's got 15 tackling. He's definitely a ball winner midfielder. He's going to come on as well as a defence midfielder. So we'll swap Offenborough over to the left-hand side to be the DLP. We've got one more sub to do, which I'm thinking is going to be Kozlov's to come on for Offenborough, kind of maybe in the next 10 or so minutes. 73rd minute, and we've got the ball through Perot in a very good position. Right-hand side is where we need to pass it, mate. Acres of space for Banks. We've got the ball back though. Wilson on the left where he's not normally playing but keeps the ball, runs towards goal, and Wilson puts the ball in the back of the net. He scores against his former club as well. I'm pretty sure that is 3 former players scoring against their former club in this episode at the moment, maybe even more. Norton Cuffy with a throw to Banks. Back to Norton Cuffy. Go all the way back to Cruz, fair enough. Now Sardi, forward to Offenborough on a yellow card. Back to Cruz, the Angolan, the youngster, only 18 years of age. Probably not good enough to play first-team football at the moment, but we're doing it because I'm a risk taker. Ball forward, finds Justin Cliver. I nearly said Patrick, that's his dad. Clivert's going to go for a lovely run forward, dodges a tackle. Sardi then decides to cross it in for Bournemouth anyway. What was that all about? The shot from Perez goes over the bar. We've got 15 minutes to play, a 3-1 lead at the moment. We are going to do our final change, which Offenborough does not deserve to come off. He's on an 8.8. He's got a goal and 2 assists to his name. I think we're going to keep him on. We might do Maleka coming off. We've got basically a left back, a left winger, a central midfielder or centre back and a central midfielder. So we could do Kozlov's for Sardi. Sardi's playing well as well though. Let's do Larios. Larios for Guinness Walker. There we go. That is our final change. Could be a risk keeping Maleka on, but I'm not too fussed. We do have a fair amount of decent young strikers, so if Maleka does get injured, which is not what you want to say in real life, but if he does get injured, we've got replacements. Ward with a goal kick for Bournemouth into the 5 minutes of injury time. Banks heads forward. Perot's nowhere near it though. Clivert collects Is it going to be a potential consolation goal? I'm hoping it isn't, because if they do score, it's going to be a very nervy final few minutes of the match. It is Frank Kessie takes the touch, plays it across to Max Aarons, and Aarons' effort is not very good, goes wide of Boyce Clark's post. And that should be another 3 points in the bag for this episode. Not going to lie, was not expecting this to go as well as it has so far. A 3-1 win against Bournemouth, a 5-0 win against Southampton. We're going to go forward to the end of the transfer window now, and then we're going to have one match post-transfer window as well, which I'm not quite sure who that's going to be yet. The transfer window has closed, and we have done a little bit more business, which I wasn't planning on doing, and then I kind of got excited and brought in far too many new players. So let's go take a look. First of all, bit of a revolving door, this one. Lamar Bogard joins on a free transfer and then immediately goes out on loan to Willem II. And there is a deal in there that he's probably going to make permanent. So yeah, we got him in on a free and we're going to make maybe £2 million off him. Another one that I didn't really need to buy, but I did anyway, is Nick Dix. Yep, mainly because of his name. Also, I think he might get good, but I'm not convinced he's going to be amazing. For 250,000, 260, I don't think it's too much of a big deal. Moving up in price, we have Ronnie Edwards, formerly of Peterborough and Plymouth, apparently on loan, and Aston Villa is where we went to. We brought him in on a permanent deal more because of basically depth. We kind of only have a few decent central defenders. I think Ronnie Edwards just adds to that list. We've also picked up Carney Chukwuemeka on a free transfer. He was released from his contract at Chelsea because basically they weren't playing him. He was out of contract in the summer anyway. I tried to offer him a contract for the summer and then tried to basically buy out his contract. He did not want to talk to me because he wanted £125,000 a week. They released him and now he's on 42 grand a week. So I think we got a good deal here. And finally, on loan from Aston Villa is Arthur Vermeeren, who is a decent defensive midfielder. I kind of looked at our squad and went, actually, of all the positions, the defensive midfield positions are probably the ones we need to strengthen the most. We don't have bad players in there, but we don't necessarily have the best players in there. So I think Vermeeren is actually an improvement on probably Micah Richards, certainly an improvement on Micah Hamilton as that defensive midfielder. So I'm happy with it. We're only paying his wages as well, only 60% of his wages. We do have, if we really want to do this, we're not going to, we could buy him for 160 million. It's not happening. Other transfer business to talk about, we've let go 3 players on loan deals. Victor Cruz has gone out on loan to Plymouth. Frederick Nissen has gone out on loan to Derby. And Carlos Pena has gone out on loan to Huddersfield. So 3 decent-ish players who need some game time going out on loan to the end of the season. We've also got rid of Fred Onyedinma. We released him. I just got fed up. Nobody was bidding for him. Wrexham put in a bid for him and he went, I don't want to join Wrexham. So I went, okay, how about, do you want your contract terminated and then you don't have to worry about money? And he went, sure. So we've given him like £1.3 million to terminate his contract, but it's better than just letting him rot and annoying me by being sat on my subs bench or in my reserves and just not playing ever for me. Results-wise as well, we've actually done really well. We've managed to beat Arsenal in the FA Cup somehow. I assume they must have played a fairly rotated side. We lost against Leeds, a team who are 18th place. We then beat Liverpool somehow, with Jackson Maleka scoring a goal in the 50th minute of the first half. And then we lose against West Ham. Scott Banks scoring in this one. Scott Banks, by the way, almost joined Swansea, who were in a relegation scrap in the Championship, and they made a permanent deal to sign him for £26 million if they stayed up. I don't know where a Championship side are getting that kind of money from, and I went, you know what, I kind of want to see it happen. But he rejected it, so he's still here. And that is you all caught up from the January transfer window. We're now going to jump forward a few more days. We're going to play 13th place Newcastle, who I think still have all of the Saudi money. They're just not doing very well. So the starting lineup for the Newcastle game then will be Boyce Clark in goal, Norton Cuffy, Mepham Sadi and Larios in defence, with Vermeeren and Hamilton as the central midfielders, with Wilson and Adozie on the wings, Maleka and Mansouri leading the lines. Mansouri has been away, I assume, at the African Cup of Nations, and he's not been very good. But he's come back. He's going to be playing today because we do have an injury to Liam Delap. He's out for 9 days to potentially 3 weeks. We've also got a retiring Danny Ings, who I don't really want to play, and Joel Perreault, who I kind of don't think is particularly good anymore anyway for our team. I think Mansouri's in better use in that position. So Maleka and Mansouri leading the lines. We've also got no sub-goalkeeper because Uche currently has a cold, bless him. Now, I'm almost convinced that this Newcastle team is going to look ridiculous. I'm pretty sure they've got Osimhen up front. If I'm not mistaken, it's going to be Osimhen leading the line. It is. They've also got Zaccagni in there. Gomaris is still there. Tonali is still there as well. Tino Livramento is still there. So they're a good team. I mean, I'm not sure what I was expecting, but they're a very good team. Although, I say that, we've done very good against very good teams so far in the last month or two, so maybe we can do the same thing again. And if we win this match, that is 3 wins out of 3 on camera in the Premier League, which is arguably too many wins. Boyce Clark to Mepham, just outside the penalty area. Right-hand side is Norton Cuffy. Who would have thought Norton Cuffy is going to be playing in the Premier League at a mid-table side as well? Cuts inside, plays it back to Vermeeren. Now loads of space for Mika Hamilton. I thought he was going to try and pull the trigger. Instead goes to Adozie. Now Mansouri gets tripped, and that has to be a penalty. Anybody? VAR? No? Vermeeren to Hamilton. Plays it on the ground all the way back to Sadi. Why did we not get any VAR? Larios collects it on the left, gets past his man, hopefully he does anyway. The 2 former Saintsmen, I think. Dozie crosses in. It's well saved, I believe, by the goalkeeper. It is. It is definitely saved by the goalkeeper, and it's going to be a corner. Norton Cuffy, the right back, is the man to take it. Just before 10 minutes, Mansouri rises but does not get there ahead of the goalkeeper. Comes out and claims it. So this is 12th versus 13th place in the league table. We're on 36 points if we draw this. If we win, we'll go on to 38 points, which is 2 points off the magic 40 that I really want to hit. That is my one target. Hit 40 points, don't get relegated. Final 5 minutes of the first half, and we've got ourselves a throw in a good position. Wilson collects. Norton Cuffy to Vermeeren, back to Harry Wilson, across to Adozie, and Samuel Adozie gets goal number 7 of the season. We take the lead against Newcastle, and once again, we are winning a Premier League match on camera in this episode. What's happening? And at half-time, it stays 1-0. It's not been the most exciting game of football, to be honest. By the amount of shots, I think it was like 6 shots in total. And yeah, we've obviously had 3. I think they've had 3 as well. Mansouri not playing well. Wilson is injured. We're taking you off. Scott Banks is coming on. Newcastle have also done a sub, and they brought in a man called Scharenberg, by the looks of it, up front or on the left-hand side. So I don't know if he's any good. I don't even know if he's real, to be honest. Looks like in the second half, we're getting our shots away. I think we've had all the shots so far in the first, 25 minutes of the second half. It is Sandro Tonali to Bruno. On the ground, it's in the back of the net by Matthias Zaccagni. It's 1-1. And Nico Elvedi has been booked somehow in the middle of that. I don't know what happened for him to get booked, but he's been booked. He got booked on the 48th minute. I don't know why it's telling me now. Anyway, Mepham with a free kick for us. 65th minute. Vermeeren, ball forward to Scott Banks. Not the best. Banks so far, apparently he was at fault for the goal, and then he's just given that ball away as well. It is Scharenberg. Norton Cuffy gets there first. That's not a penalty. That can't be a penalty if the Larios one wasn't one in the first half. We're getting VAR, and I'm hoping VAR is on our side and Scharenberg's a clown. Nope. It is a penalty. It is a penalty, and it is going to be, I assume, Bruno stepping up to take it. It is. It's not Zaccagni. Could he get his second of the game? Boyce Clark goes the wrong way. Newcastle turn this game around and take the lead. Right, Mansouri's come back from the African Cup of Nations and has been horrendous. He's on a 6.3, so off you get, my friend. Mika Hamilton's coming off for... We're going to do Chukwuemeka. Now, this is the problem with Chukwuemeka. He can't play in any positions that we have, but we know we can retrain people. Sadi is also coming off for Edwards. We've got one more sub to do and we've got 20 minutes. Do we do another change? We do. We do Vermeeren for Offerborough. That's what we're going to do. So all of our changes have taken place after 70 minutes. We need to get an equaliser. Although, in the grand scheme of things, we are, 6 points clear of Spurs, who are down in 14th. We're dropping down to 13th place in the table if it all stays this way. It's not the end of the world. I'm just frustrated because we were winning this game and we've thrown it away in the second half. We've actually been pretty poor in the second half. Scott Banks has come off the bench at half-time and got a 6.4, and I'm wishing you did take the deal and move to Swansea. Well, after that performance against Newcastle, we are sat 13th place in the table. 35 points on the board. We're just 5 away from 40. However, the concerning thing is Bournemouth aren't massively far behind. I guess they are. They're 13 points behind us. I don't think we're not mathematically safe, obviously, but I think we might be avoiding this relegation battle. I genuinely think we might be. Leeds down to Bournemouth, I think other teams kind of in this scrap. We are hopefully just out of reach. There is still plenty of games to go. And next time, we are going to come back probably somewhere against some teams in and around us, maybe in a relegation scrap. We've got lots of good teams in the last few matches of the season. That's a lot of good teams in there. So I think next time we're going to do Chelsea, Forest and Wolves, and then the final episode will be Palace, Brighton and Spurs. And we won't play the Saints game because we've just played them on camera in this episode and smashed them 5-0. Although, maybe we might do that if we can do it again.